Hey everybody, this is Robert, the Common Sense Conservative, and I just got back from the March Against Sharia event in Seattle, Washington. And I wanted to throw this out really quick before I went through all of my footage and started posting all of that, because there was a lot of things that happened that should definitely be talked about. So first of all, there was a handful of people who were with the event, but there was a lot of people who were against the March Against Sharia. So that in itself is funny, right? I mean, how can there be so many people in this country? Because this event happened all across the country. How are there so many people who are for Sharia law? That's definitely a question that needs to be asked. And it's the liberals, right? It's the liberals who are sitting there and they're talking about how, peace and love, and one of their big chants was, Muslims are welcome here. And then they held signs saying, "I love my Muslim neighbor." Well, that's cool. And fun fact, most conservatives feel the same way. Most conservatives have nothing at all against Islam. Nothing. This is America. You have the right to practice whatever faith that you want to practice. And guess what? Nobody wants to take that away, except for liberals, right? Because if you're a Christian, then you're a terrorist. Or if you're a Jew, then who knows what wonderful things they say about, you guys. So, but hello, America, Hindu, Satanist, Scientology, Christian, Catholic, Mormon, Jehovah's Witness, Quaker, Amish, Islam, all welcome here. The march was not anti-Islam. The march is anti-Sharia. Something that liberals, above all else, according to all the wonderful talking points that everybody's been spouting off lately, liberals, above anybody, should be against Sharia law. Why? It's actually kind of simple. Liberals claim that they are the number one advocates for the LGBTQ community, correct? Yes. If you don't live under a rock, you already know this. What happens in Sharia countries to the LGBTQ community? They get put in prison. They get stoned. They get tossed off of buildings. That's what happens. If you're gay in a Sharia country, you probably are going to die. So that's one reason to be anti-Sharia. What else? Why else should liberals be anti-Sharia? Women. Women. War on women. That's a big one, right? War on women. Guess what? Conservatives are saying anti-Sharia. Conservatives are saying that women should be a whole person. Conservatives are saying that women are equal. Sharia, on the other hand, is a woman is half of a person, if that. If a woman cheats on her husband, she's probably going to die. Is that what we're wanting? Is that what conservatives are trying to do? No. Conservatives are saying no Sharia. Why would liberals be for Sharia? You even and mixed in with all of these liberals, you have Antifa, right? Anti-fascist. Their whole point of being there was to drown out the crowd with their horns and their little cowbells and all sorts of things, drums, all sorts of stuff to try to drown out anybody talking. Drowning out free speech. Drowning out somebody else's opinion. Now, anybody who knows history, look at Germany back in the late 30s and early 40s. There were these guys walking around wearing brown shirts. Yeah, a lot of people have made that connection. However, conservatives are still called the fascists. Even though conservatives are saying we need our freedom. Conservatives are saying that we need to go back to the Constitution. We need to have freedom of speech, true freedom of speech. No more of these stupid safe spaces. No more of these stupid little safe zones where nobody can offend me. You know what happens when you're offended? Nothing. Nothing happens when you get offended. Nothing at all. However, if you offend one of them, then things happen. They assault you. They pepper spray you. They beat you. They cut you with knives. Because all of those things happened today in Seattle. It was insane. Like, I cannot tell you how insane this was. It was hilarious. There was actually a guy, I was standing kind of off to the side a little bit, and there was a sergeant standing next to me. And this guy, carrying a big camera, one of those wonderful citizen journalists, right, that print off their press badge, you know, on their home computer and all of that. But they don't really write for anybody, they don't work for anybody, they don't really do anything, but they're out there taking pictures so all of their friends can see it. So this guy walks up to the sergeant and he goes, you know, I noticed something today. I noticed that the majority of your officers are facing the protesters, the anti-Sharia people. In other words, Antifa and, you know, Black Lives Matter and all those guys that came out. The majority of the police were, in fact, facing Antifa. Now, most of you I know are going to be really shocked by that. He was totally amazed. He didn't understand why that would be. Because to him, in his brain, in his warped sense of reality, who apparently has never watched the news, never gone to any event, lives under a literal rock, he thought that the violence would come from the conservatives, from the people who were anti-Sharia, the people who had a pastor who was Iranian, who used to be a Muslim, speaking at that event. The violence is going to come from those guys. Right. And that makes total sense. In no world whatsoever does that make sense. History shows that Antifa is going to cause violence, even though they always play the victim, and the media lets them get away with it all the time. You know, the cops attacked us. No, they didn't. You attacked them. You stood in their way as they were trying to move you back. They gave you plenty of warning. You threw things at them. You hit them. You pushed them. And then riot control agents were used. You got paintballed to the face. You got flashbanged. You got gassed. You got pepper sprayed. And somehow you still think you're the victim. You're not the victim. You are the criminal at that point in time. And that happened today. Weird. Who would have thought that that would have happened today? Now, granted, there were quite a few people who, you know, there are a couple people on the conservative side that wanted to march, and they wanted to walk around and actually have a conversation with some of these people so that they could understand how they could be so stupid. And in so doing, whenever this group of people approached Antifa and all of the liberals, they were assaulted, silly stringed, pepper sprayed, all sorts of stuff. So that leads me to the next most hilarious bit that happened tonight. So Antifa, they always come armed. They got shields, they have weapons, they have, you know, knives. A guy brought a gun today, which I have footage of. You'll see it in a little bit. And so the police cornered off this whole block. Antifa was in the middle. There were conservatives on one side, conservatives on the other side. They got split up. Antifa was in the middle. Antifa started pepper spraying the conservatives. And yes, some conservatives did get some in the face. What was weird, not really, was that the police returned the favor. The police started pepper spraying the Antifa. But again, the Antifa is sitting there playing the victim, right? Are you guys seeing where I'm going with this? The left are retarded. And I mean that in the purest sense of the word. Retarded, mentally disabled. They are mentally disabled individuals. They believe that even though every single thing that they stand for, Islam stands against, that Islam is going to be their best friends. They believe that Sharia is okay in their book, even though it literally stands against every single thing that liberals stand for. Liberals will sit there and say that the police attacked them even though they've been throwing bricks, soda cans, and assaulting the police officers. But the police attacked them. And you know what? For a long time I thought they were lying, but they really believe it. They really believe this crap that they are spouting off. I mean, I live close to Portland, Oregon, and there's 2 news magazines. I don't know, I won't call them news magazines. They're like a blog that did a lot of meth and heroin at the same time. And I mean, they're stupid and they lie. I mean, if you want to know an example of fake news, CNN doesn't even come close to these guys. But I love reading their stuff because it's literally a fairy tale from start to finish. It's a fairy tale. And what makes it even worse is that, for instance, the Willamette Week, which is the epitome of fake news, has been quoted by mainstream media on so many issues. But to them, it's true. Like I said, for a long time, I thought they were intentionally lying, but they honestly, truly believe it. They will literally walk up to a police officer, hit him in the head with a stick, and then when the cop puts him in cuffs, I didn't do anything wrong. That's how they really believe. That's how they really think. So, you know, I've been wanting to do stuff like what these guys are doing for a very long time when it comes to organizing and putting on protest or putting on rallies and stuff, showing what conservatism really is, showing that conservatism is freedom, showing that conservatism is liberty and true freedom and true liberty, not this special rights for special people crap, but equality and everything that the Constitution and the Founding Fathers designed for this country. And now I see that these people are doing this, and they're doing it all across the country. And I think now more than ever, especially after the 8 years that we have sat silent and watched our cities burn, it's a good thing that these things are happening, because there has to be enough reasonable people out there who maybe voted Democrat their entire life, but they are seeing what is happening. They are seeing what their party, what their whole side of the spectrum has become. They are seeing that they have lost their minds. 100% lost their minds. And it's time. It is time for there to be a revolution in this country that people understand that freedom matters. Equality matters. Victimhood doesn't work. You are the maker of your own destiny. So liberals, Antifa, it's time to wake up. It's time to start acknowledging truth. Okay? Stop letting the media control your brain. It's not a Muslim ban if it's only 7 countries or 6 countries out of 20 something. Okay? That's called those are countries. If it was a Muslim ban because you heard it during the campaign, you know, if it's a Muslim ban, then it would be all of those countries. Indonesia, Bosnia, those countries couldn't come. Our NATO ally-ish, Turkey, you know, they couldn't come into this country. All right? So it's not a Muslim ban. That's just one of the many, many lies that you keep spewing. All right? Grow up. Come to your senses. Stop being so retarded.